Welcome to another episode of Shadows of the Tarot. After enduring the emotional turmoil of a difficult divorce, Piper finally felt a sense of relief. The long, exhausting battle was over, and she was eager to reclaim her life. Tonight, she had decided to celebrate, not because she was surrounded by friends or family, but because she had made it through. Unfortunately, like many couples, she had become entangled in her ex-husband's social circle, gradually losing touch with her own friends. Once the papers were signed and the dust had settled, his friends, who had once been part of her daily life, had abandoned her without hesitation. But that was fine. Piper wasn't going to dwell on the past or the people who had chosen to walk away. She had another love, one that had been constant even when everything else had crumbled: gambling. There was something intoxicating about the casino atmosphere, the hum of conversation, the flickering lights, the rhythmic sounds of slot machines, and the thrill of possibility in the air. Over time, she had come to recognize some of the regulars, and while they weren't close friends, they were familiar faces, people who shared her passion for the game. She was confident she would find someone to share a drink with, maybe even laugh with, as she toasted to her newfound freedom. As she stepped into the casino, the dazzling glow of neon signs reflected in her eyes. The familiar rush of excitement coursed through her veins. Tonight, she told herself, was not a night for caution. Oh, stuff it, she thought. I'll place a large bet this time. After all, this was a new chapter of her life. Why not start it with a bold move? A few weeks earlier, frustration over her prolonged settlement had led her to seek guidance from Elise, a tarot reader known for her unsettlingly accurate insights. The legal battle had dragged on longer than expected, and she had no idea whether her ex-husband would agree to the amount she had demanded. He had fought her at every turn, making the process as painful as possible, simply out of spite. Piper had wanted answers, reassurance, anything to help her navigate the uncertainty. Elise's reading had been enlightening. Now, standing in the heart of the casino, she pushed the memories of her marriage aside. Tonight wasn't about the past. It was about moving forward. Elise laid out the cards with a practiced hand, her fingers gliding over the worn edges of the antique deck. As she turned one over, the sun revealed itself in all its golden brilliance. It was a card of joy, success, and boundless energy, a beacon of optimism amidst the uncertainty that had plagued Piper for months. Elise explained its meaning, her voice steady and assured. The sun represented happiness, contentment, self-confidence, and the promise of a favorable outcome. It signaled not just success, but the resolution of present struggles, the dawn after a long, dark night. Piper listened intently, absorbing every word. She could almost feel the warmth of the card radiating through her, chasing away the lingering shadows of her past. With a grateful smile, she thanked Elise sincerely, her appreciation more than just politeness. It was genuine, heartfelt. Before leaving, she grabbed one of Elise's business cards and tossed it into her purse, thinking she might recommend her to others. Hours later, Piper was euphoric. The bet she had placed, the bold, reckless gamble, had paid off in a way she never could have imagined. The fortune teller had been right. The sun had promised success, and here she was, standing in the glow of her own unexpected windfall. Unable to contain her excitement, she immediately took to social media, gushing about Elise's reading. She posted a glowing recommendation, urging others to seek out the talented tarot reader whose predictions had proven astoundingly accurate. What a night, she thought. How amazing that I've won so much money. Still buzzing with excitement, she made her way to the cashier's counter to collect her winnings. The staff congratulated her warmly, but informed her that due to the amount, she would need to complete a taxation form. She complied without hesitation, still reveling in her luck. When they asked if she was staying at the casino, she confirmed that she had a room booked. As a security measure, they provided her with a cash box and a safe key before escorting her upstairs. She watched as they carefully placed her winnings inside the in-room safe, ensuring everything was secured. As they left, the concierge gave her a knowing smile. "You might be on a lucky streak tonight," he suggested. "Why not keep playing?" Piper considered it for a brief moment. The thrill of the game was tempting, the idea of winning even more intoxicating. But she had been around casinos long enough to know that greed often led to regret. She believed in the old saying, "A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush." With that in mind, she decided to step away while she was ahead. Instead of returning to the gaming floor, she wandered into one of the sleek, dimly lit bars and ordered a drink, savoring the moment. As she looked around, she realized something unusual. None of the regulars were there tonight. It was strange, but she shrugged it off. Maybe it was just an off night. Still feeling the buzz of her earlier win, Piper impulsively purchased a Keno ticket. Why not? She thought. If luck was truly on her side, it might just continue. She settled onto one of the plush sofas, sipping a warm coffee as she carefully checked her numbers, anticipation fluttering in her chest once more. Sam rarely set foot in a casino. In fact, he could count on one hand the number of times he had been inside one. It was purely by chance that he found himself there that evening. He had been attending a banking conference, an event that, while professionally beneficial, had left him restless and eager for a change of pace. After the final session wrapped up, he decided to head downstairs for a coffee, hoping it would help him unwind. As he returned, cup in hand, something, or rather someone, caught his eye. His breath hitched slightly as he took in the woman sitting just a few feet away, casually marking a Keno ticket. She was stunning. For a brief moment, he felt a strange sense of déjà vu, and then it struck him. She bore an uncanny resemblance to his mother when she was younger. His mother would never wear a dress like that, though. And oh, those legs, her toned calves accentuated by a pair of elegant sky-high heels. Her feet were nothing short of exquisite. Goddamn, those feet are to die for. Something primal stirred within him. He had to get to know this woman. Without hesitation, he bought himself a Keno ticket and casually took the seat beside her. "Any luck?" he asked, nodding toward her numbers. Piper looked up, arching a brow before offering a small smile. "Not this time," she sighed. Sam chuckled as he checked his own numbers, mirroring her disappointment. "Same here. Guess Lady Luck isn't on our side tonight." They quickly fell into easy conversation, discussing Keno, gambling, and eventually what had brought them to the casino. When Piper asked if he was alone, Sam explained that he had been at a banking conference. Piper let out a laugh, tilting her head. "A banking conference? That doesn't sound very thrilling." Sam grinned. "Trust me, it's as exciting as watching paint dry." Piper's laughter deepened, and she leaned in slightly. Now that she was getting a better look at him, she had to admit, Sam was an attractive man. Strong jawline, dark, intelligent eyes, and a certain charm that she found unexpectedly alluring. The conversation shifted, subtle flirtation lacing their words, and soon, Sam found himself asking if she'd like to grab a drink and maybe have a dance. At the bar, Piper stirred her cocktail thoughtfully before reaching into her purse. She pulled out a small business card and slid it toward Sam. "You need to do yourself a favor and look her up," she said, nodding toward the name on the card. Sam picked it up and examined it. Elise, tarot readings and spiritual guidance. His lips curled slightly in amusement. "You don't actually believe in this stuff, do you?" Piper rolled her eyes. "I do when the readings turn out to be scarily accurate." Sam raised a skeptical brow. "Come on, it's all just vague generalizations wrapped in mystery." She wasn't having it. "Read the testimonials on her site. She's helped so many people." She leaned in conspiratorially. "Including me." Intrigued despite himself, Sam prompted, "How so?" With a grin, Piper launched into the story of her earlier win, explaining how she had come to the casino to celebrate her divorce, and how Elise's reading had predicted her success. "The Sun card," she finished with a smirk. "Happiness, success, prosperity. And look at me now." Sam shook his head, chuckling. "Well, when you put it that way, Maybe I should buy a lottery ticket. As the drinks kept flowing, so did their conversation. There was an easy chemistry between them, an unspoken pull neither could ignore. By the time Piper drained the last of her cocktail, she stretched slightly, then turned to him with a playful smile. "I think I'm going to call it a night," she said. Then, after a beat, she added, "Care to join me for a nightcap?" Sam blinked, caught off guard. For a moment, he hesitated. This wasn't something he typically did. He wasn't the type to follow a woman to her room after just meeting her. It wasn't his style. And yet, as he looked at her, his gaze drifting down to those legs, those shoes, those perfect feet. To hell with it. He smiled. "I'd love to." Back in the dimly lit hotel room, the effects of alcohol had fully taken hold of Piper. She swayed slightly as she put on some music, her inhibitions melting away with each sultry note. With a playful glint in her eyes, she turned towards Sam, who was already stretched out on the bed, watching her with quiet anticipation. She began to undress, slowly and seductively, her movements fueled by liquid confidence. Sam remained still, his expression unreadable. On the surface, he played the part of the eager participant, but beneath it, discomfort coiled in his gut. He had never been one for sex. It simply didn't interest him. And now, watching Piper undress, that familiar unease surfaced again. She looked too much like his mother. He forced himself to push past it, maintaining the illusion of desire as she let her dress slip to the floor. When she was fully bare before him, he masked his revulsion with charm, reaching out to pull her onto the bed. His touch was careful, calculated. He murmured compliments against her skin, telling her how beautiful she was, how intoxicating. She giggled, running her fingers along the lapels of his suit jacket. "You know," she purred, "this look really works for you." Sam smirked, standing up abruptly and doing an exaggerated twirl in his jacket. Piper burst into laughter, clapping her hands drunkenly. Amused by her reaction, he danced around the room for a moment before slipping back onto the bed beside her. She slid up next to him, their bodies molding together, and he let his hands move over her skin in slow, deliberate caresses. As she closed her eyes, surrendering to the moment, he positioned himself over her. His breath was steady. His hands moved with practiced precision. She didn't even feel it. 1 second, she was lost in a haze of pleasure, and the next, nothing. Sam tightened the wire around her throat with expert efficiency, his grip unwavering as her body jerked once, twice, then went limp beneath him. He exhaled slowly, loosening the garrote and letting it slip from his fingers. It was always best when it happened quickly. He had learned that over time. Reaching into his pocket, he pulled out a crisp white handkerchief and gently draped it over her face. He hated looking at them afterward. The eyes, the mouth's frozen mid-expression, it made the guilt linger too long. Covering them gave him a small sense of control, a sliver of dignity to offer in the aftermath. But now came the real challenge. His gaze drifted down to her feet, the reason he had allowed himself to deviate from his usual routine. They were perfect, exquisite. But there was a problem. He hadn't planned for this. He hadn't brought any of his tools. Sam sighed, rubbing a hand over his jaw. Damn it. These feet were going to be difficult to remove. But he would find a way. He always did. Sam had never been one for taking money from his victims. He didn't kill for financial gain. It was never about that. But Piper had been so flagrant, so boastful, practically throwing her wealth into the universe as if it were an open invitation. She had bragged about her winnings, laughing as she recounted her good fortune. And now, in the stillness of the hotel room, her luck had officially run out. Sitting on the edge of the bed, Sam exhaled deeply, running a hand through his hair. He could feel the noose tightening. The police had to be catching up to him by now. It was only a matter of time. And escaping? That wasn't cheap. He would need money. A lot of it. A new identity, a fake passport, a safe place to disappear. It all came at a price. This time, he would take the money. Call it fate, call it a gift, but Piper had made it too easy. The safe key was right there, nestled in the pocket of her discarded dress. A smug grin ghosted over his lips. He hadn't even needed to search for it. But first, he had work to do. He picked up the hotel phone, keeping his voice steady and composed. "Room service, please." A moment later, an attendant answered, cheerful and polite. "I'd like to order a steak," Sam said smoothly. "And could you make sure the knife is very sharp? I can't stand a dull blade." He paused before adding, "Oh, and a bucket of ice with an ice pick, if possible." There was a slight hesitation on the other end. The request wasn't entirely unusual, but the specificity of the knife might have raised an eyebrow. "We can certainly do that, sir," the attendant finally replied. "Anything else?" "Yes, actually," Sam said, glancing at the bed. "Extra towels. Plenty of them." 30 minutes later, the knock came. Sam answered the door with a polite smile, accepting the tray without so much as a flicker of suspicion crossing his face. He tipped generously, best to leave a good impression, and shut the door behind him, locking it securely. He took his time eating, savoring every bite of the perfectly cooked steak. There was something satisfying about indulging in a final meal before the real work began. When he was finished, he wiped his mouth with a napkin, then turned his attention to the task at hand. Piper's feet.